Hello and welcome to Rosie's Preserving School and our pressure canning workshop. And today we're making white chicken chili, sorry, missed the chicken out, which is our first sort of meal in a jar. So I've got all my ingredients here. If you want to make this without the chicken, you can just put extra beans in, and you can, because it's a white chili, then use sort of white beans or pale beans, rather than the dark red ones. But you can just do beans, be absolutely fine. So I've got 900 grams I've got mixed thigh and breast meat chicken chopped. I haven't got my white beans. I'll find them. I'll put those two in. There's two different sorts, but that's okay. I'm going to put 2 jars of beans in to sort of bulk it up a bit. I've got some mushrooms, which are optional, but I thought, why not? It's all white-ish. Onion, garlic, cumin, oregano, cayenne pepper, and stock, and some green chilies if you want to put chilies in. And you can put whatever chili heat you want, what you like. I don't specify with these things because I'm showing you a sort of method, and really families and tastes are so different. It's best if you kind of think, well, I don't want those, I'll use these. And by now you should be able to sort of swap things in and out with a reasonable amount of confidence. And I don't like things so hot I can't taste them. So I have kind of quite mild chilies. But if you want them hotter, then go for it. It's this is all sort of guidance and advisory. It's not a sort of absolute. So you will be putting your 1 tablespoonful of olive oil in your pan and putting the chicken in to coat in the olive oil and cook it. I have forgotten to bring my olive oil. So I'm going to use I've got some what I call chock, which is chicken stock that I make from chicken carcasses. I save them up in the freezer. I flatten them in bags so they're nice and flat, and pile them up in the freezer. And when I've got enough, I cook it all up, and then I pressure can the stock. And I just call it chock for short, because I don't want to be writing out loads of labels with chicken stock on it. This has a reasonable amount of fat in it from the chicken. So I'm just going to sort of utilize that to cook my chicken in. But you'll be doing it in the olive oil because you know what you're doing and I don't. By the looks of it. So I'm going to turn this hob on, and I'm going to use one of the jars for now, and I'll put the other one in later. And that will just stop the chicken from sticking to the pan too much. And I'll put the chicken in one go, and then leave that to heat up and cook. Give it a bit of a mix. Right, while that's heating up, I'm going to chop my onions and garlic and my mushrooms. I'm putting mushrooms in. I just think with these things, the more the merrier. Bulk it out, make the most of the expensive ingredients by bulking it out with something a bit cheaper. Though these days, nothing can be relied on to be a bit cheaper, I don't think. But anyway, I'm glad I bought 2 onions, because the recipe says 1, but I've brought 2 because we're getting to the end of the onion crop before the fresh ones come in, and they're all a bit soft now, I'm finding, the ones from the farm shop anyway. So I'll probably need both to make up the equivalent of 1. Seems to be on that corner. Take that off. You don't need to chop it too finely, but it doesn't want to be great big chunks either. So oops, just got one layer of onion that was soft. Let's try this one as well. That looks a bit more hopeful. Because this is going in hot, I have got the canner on as well so that it's not cold water in there when I put the hot jars in. So if you want to switch your canners on, then we'll be ready to go. Right, I'll start chopping now. I think I said this last time, I hate it when the onions get all soft and slippery like this. It's a real job trying to chop them safely. I don't know if that's any particular size, you can forget that, just try and get them chopped. It's right, that's the onion. Give this a stir because it's starting to heat up. Now the garlic, it's 5 cloves of garlic, quite a lot of garlic. It's a strange thing about garlic. You can get these great big fat cloves like I've got here. It doesn't mean to say you get more garlic flavour. Garlic just has its sort of flavour in its kind of DNA. And it doesn't matter how big the clove is, it will still have the same strength. So it's quite nice when they are big and fat because it's easier to chop, I find. I'm not a sort of smash and chop person. I just cut them in quite fine slices and then just chop across as finely as I can. And by the time it's all been pressure canned, it's kind of dissolved. So I don't worry about it too much. Life's too short to be doing chefy chopping, in my view. Now, if you don't like garlic at all, then just leave it out. But I think, you know, with a dish like this, it does add, obviously, to the flavour. You need to cook the chicken for about 10 minutes on its own, and then we're going to add the other things in. Those now I'm using mushrooms. I'm putting about, I suppose it's a 400-gram tub in, not 400-gram, 250. There's about 8 ounces there, I would think. So I'm not going to chop them finely because again, they'll sort of disintegrate in the processing. So I'm just going to, the big ones are cut in half that way and then chop the other way in kind of thick slices. And if they're smaller, I'll just cut them in thick slices. I love anything with mushrooms in, so if I've got the opportunity to put them in, I do. And if you're feeding hordes of people, then it does help eke out the meat of it. There's that. Right. Now mine looks disgusting because it's essentially in liquid rather than oil, but we'll travel hopefully. So the next things to go in are all of these vegetables and the spices. So that's 2 tablespoonfuls of ground cumin. So I haven't got a tablespoon here. I'll use heaped teaspoonfuls, and I'll put 4 in for the 2 tablespoonfuls. And then a tablespoonful of fried oregano, or oregano if you are American. I don't know which is right, but anyway. No seasoning in this, no salt or pepper or anything. I think the thing to do is when you're going to be serving and so on is to test it and see if it needs it then. Stir the spices in. Just let the heat of your pan and oil start to release the flavors. And then we're going to put all of these vegetables in. And I think, yeah, just the vegetables for the moment. And the beans we'll do in a moment once the veg have had a chance to seal up. And try and get these in without dropping any. There we go. All in. And I haven't got out my cayenne, so I'll go and see if I've got some here. Good, just got enough. That's the trouble with cooking in 2 different places. You always find you've got the wrong thing in the right place, if you know what I mean. So that's all the spices in. It was a teaspoon of cayenne. And I'll take the empty thing home with me, and I'll remember to get some more. Now give that a stir. Now, Next thing is to add the beans, which I haven't opened. I've got two sorts of white beans here, but you can use whichever ones you prefer or have to hand. And this is sort of utilising the beans that we did at the beginning of the our very first pressure canning session. At least it will be if I can get them open. So sometimes they open first time, sometimes they don't. So these are the bigger, they're not, are they cannellini? No, the smaller ones are cannellini. I'm not sure which ones those are, but it doesn't matter. They're not butter beans, they're in between the two sizes. So put all their juice in. Now I've got some cannellini ones as well. And this is where if you want to just make them with just beans, you can go to town, you know, use whichever beans you like. And the whole dish has so much flavour that the beans will soak it up and taste amazing. So they're going to get stirred in and cooked. Because they don't need cooking as such because they've already been processed, but heated up with the rest of the ingredients. Right, the last thing to do is to chop the chilies. I've got a couple of little green chilies here. I'm actually going to put some gloves on to do that because I am a nightmare for rubbing my eyes, and I don't want to be rubbing chili into them necessarily later on this evening. So you can leave the seeds in, take the seeds out, whichever is your preference. I don't stress about the seeds, but usually what I do is once I get towards the end is just to take out the big clump that's right up near the top of the chili. And then, but I don't stress about taking every single seed out. They're not going to come out, so I'll cut that end off and open it out flat and do it that way. I don't know if it's a scientific fact that things taste hotter with the seeds left in. I'm sure somebody knows, but I don't. So cut that bit across. Right, I'm just going to roughly chop them. I'm not going to, chop them into little tiny bits. Just sort of small strips, really. Again, they'll get processed down and practically dissolve, probably. Okay. those, and I'm going to add the rest of my stock. Now, I didn't know how much stock to put for you because it depended on how much you were making in one go. Because if you're doubling up, you'll need more. You can just make it to be, you know, as long as it's got plenty of liquid in there. And then, and I've probably put in all about 1 litre or so of stock so far. I'll give it a stir. I might just put a bit more in. I'll make it up with water because that was pure chicken stock. So just go and get that in one of these jars. It's hot water going in so it won't cool everything down too much. Good. So I'll just leave that to cook on just while I clear the decks a bit and get ready to jar up. And turn the canner up a bit more. Like this off so I can put my jars on there. I'm going to use the 750 ml for this because it's a finished dish. I'm not going to be kind of adding much else to it besides something to serve it with. So I want enough for 2 without having to bulk it out with anything else. This is going to be one of my dashing in from somewhere lifesavers. You know, when I get in and think, oh, what are we going to have? I can open this, heat it up, do some rice or noodles, and it's ready to go. So that's why I'm using the bigger jar. I don't know how many it will make. I'm going to, I've got 7 prepared, but I'm not entirely sure how much it will, how far it will go. So I've got my big funnel. Make sure when you're doing this, you get some beans, some meat, some mushrooms if you're using them. And probably sort of half fill it with the mixture, and then we'll top it up with the liquid. And if we haven't got enough liquid, then we can top it up with hot water. It'll be absolutely fine. We're only going to get about 4 or 5 from this, but because it's a meal, I don't want to be sort of stingy with it. I want to make sure I've got enough without having to think when I open it, oh, what else am I going to put in? Yeah, let's get a fifth one, I think. Oops, still finding chunks of chicken. Right, I'm going to start filling up now with the cooking liquid. I'll put a couple in each and then see how we go. I'm going to turn that off now, otherwise as the pan empties, it's going to, it won't burn, but it won't be any good to be heating in an empty pan. That one's pretty much full. I'm still finding beans and things. Oops. Spilling it everywhere. That one's full. Let's put the ladle on the side of the pan and right, let's do these. All right, just a little bit of hot water needed. Just top up to the 3 centimetre, 1 inch level. There's plenty of flavour in the mix. A little bit of water won't make any difference at all. Take these off. Right. So now I'm just going to debubble them. those two out of the way. Just give it a bit of a lift up with the whatever you're using to do this, and it just sort of releases any air that's got trapped as you filled the jars. Just helps prevent siphoning, because if it can't get out, it will just build up the pressure in the jar and maybe push out some of the liquid instead out through the seal while it's processing, I mean, not. All right, let's do that. Last one. Sometimes as you do it, you can see the little bubbles coming up to the surface, which is very gratifying. Right, now we've got our vinegar here. I'm going to wipe the tops with, get rid of any greasy splashes. This is exactly the sort of thing that would prevent it from sealing, this sort of mix. I can actually see some on this one. I've splashed it, so I'll give it some fresh piece of tissue, fresh vinegar. These seals are all new, so I'm not going to wipe them. Nothing's touched them or anything. Put the rest of the vinegar in the canner so you don't get line from the water scale on the outside of the jar. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do the jars up finger tight. Quite hot, very hot, in fact.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are yours half full with solids or 2/3 full with solids? Oh, but smaller jars, aren't they?
mine are 750s, and they were probably about half full. A generous half full.
Right. If I've got stock left,
Yeah.
would I be able to quickly rinse some beans and put them to the stock and to fill my canner up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to warm the beans up or anything, my dried beans.
No, just rinse them off and
Yeah.
in a colander or something, or a sieve.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put mine in. 5. That's that. That is much better than the base. Right. So my lid is on. And I've got my weight here at 10 ready. It'll take a while to get that far.
All right.
Still doing it, sorry.
Well, you're still
Yeah.
doing it.
Well, I'm a bit slow like that.
You all right? Oh, 3 chickpeas.
Hello, I'm just cleaning my seals. I've done 4 quart jars of yours.
Yeah,
I've I've tried to see where it says max on my jar. It's a bit hard to see. But I've done that, and then I'll put those in, and then I'll find some dried beans. I'll see if I can just put some. I'll rinse the dried beans. They'll be
Yeah.
cold, but I'll put them in with some of the stock water, maybe. What do
yeah,
you think?
yeah, that'd be good. It's always a
Yeah.
good thing to do.
When it's used up.
I'm just doing some housekeeping while
Yeah.
it's coming up to vent because I haven't labelled a lot of things we've made recently.
I'm a bit slow.
No, it's all right. It's absolutely fine.
Still got me L plate.
Sorry?
I've still got me L plate.
Oh, well, you're not the only one.
Oh, come on. Fallen. Oh, Barry. When you're free, would you be able to sort potatoes have just fallen down where I'm working. And the potatoes have fallen down, or just got them in the wrong.
The haricot beans. Oh, this green. This is one sound. So while I'm waiting for the canner to come up to venting, I'm just doing some housekeeping. The other day when we had a photo shoot, I did a whole canner full of different beans, just so there was something to be photographed and something happening. And of course, I came away and kind of left them. Now I'm trying to sort out which beans are in which jar. So this is sort of the sort of job you can be doing while you're waiting for canners to do things. These are cannellini beans in here. So what I do is I use a round label on top of the seal, because the seal is going to be thrown away. So you don't have to keep on trying to peel labels off of the jars. I know some people write on the outside of the jars, but I just find it's easy just to put this on. I've got a nice marker pen, and I just put, I've got canned beans in there because I can't fit cannellini. And I put 522 because they were done in May 22. So it's just a guide, and you will see later on how useful that can be. And the more you get done and the more you learn and the more things you try, the more things there are in your cupboard, but you've got to remember what they are, and dates and things are important. So it's a good chance to catch up on that kind of thing if you don't do it at the time. And it's surprising, sometimes you sort of peer at a jar and think, what on earth is that in there? You know, once it's sort of processed, sometimes it's difficult to see. Oh, looks like we're doing something here. Yeah, so I can put my timer on for 10 minutes
Pick it up like that.
Yeah.
for the venting. I've got a nice new hob here, which has got a wider base plate, and it fits the canner exactly, the canner base. And I think it makes a difference to the heating up. Seems a bit quicker to me. Maybe it's just because I was doing my labeling. It's just see the odd puff of steam coming out there.
I think I want to go.
So I need to write a little shopping list of things I need. Run out of. Now you can see very clearly now on the screen the venting. May also be able to see my pet fly flying around, which I did actually bring from home. You know, he likes to stay close. I hate the summer. There's always a fly, isn't there? I know I've said it before, but if you get a lot of water spitting out of this lock as the venting's going on, then just wipe it away, because it will prevent the lock popping up eventually. The water creates sort of surface tension, which impedes the lock a little bit.
Oh. Thing is, probably changed. I walked to it. Oh, no. Oh, that's it. Oh, it's probably like standardized. Well, we just oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, so I think all over the tools. So, Mum's got it on him. Have to stay outside.
No. Come in. You come in. I've got, I'll do some beans before the can of it. It's not like it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll put it across to you. So,
2 minutes to go. There we are. Good. I'm going to put the weight on, trying not to burn myself. And wait for it to come up to pressure. And like that again, try and get it to release and pop up. Immediately feels like water again. While I'm waiting for it to come up to pressure, I thought you might be wondering why it's called white chicken chili when it's sort of quite distinctively brown. And that really comes from the ingredients, obviously the spices, and I put mushrooms in and so on, but we haven't thickened it at all. And it's not a good idea to thicken things that are going to be pressure canned before they're processed. I tend to only thicken things once I'm going to use it and cook with it. And I do that nearly always by mixing, depending on what I'm thickening, some corn flour with either olive oil, if I wanted sort of an added layer of richness in the dish. And again, it's not a great idea to add lots of olive oil to a dish before it's processed. So I would mix corn flour either with water, milk, or olive oil, depending on what it is. And it would be sort of 2 teaspoonfuls, heaped teaspoonfuls of corn flour to, I don't know, about 150 ml, 200 mils of liquid, not maybe olive oil, but water or milk, depending on how big the dish is. So you just got to sort of judge it really, but you just stir it in, and as the dish is heating up, just stir it and to get rid of any lumps or anything like that, and it will thicken it perfectly adequately. And of course, if you're using corn flour mix, especially with milk, it's going to lighten the look of the dish. Also, when you're serving it, you could add some cream or yogurt into it if you wanted to as well, to add a sort of layer of again, richness or flavour. The other way we thicken pressure canned food is to use a product called Clear Gel, and this is a modified starch. Starch doesn't fare well under pressure canning. It will split and separate into a sort of liquid and a thick sort of sludge, really, which is why we don't thicken things with flour or include flour or flours, as in corn flour and things like that, when we're actually creating the food to be processed, and we do it afterwards. You can use Clear Gel. It's a modified starch, so it's been altered to cope with the pressure, really. It doesn't have any flavour. It's not been added to. It hasn't got lots of nasty ingredients in it. And if you want to know that when you open the jar the food is good to go, it's the right consistency for you, then this is a very good product. You can mix it in to something that's hot, or you can mix it with cold water and add it as a cold sort of jelly and stir that in, and you can adjust the amount that you use according to how thick you want something to be. You don't need to cook it to get it to thicken. It's really very easy to use, and it's especially good for things like pie fillings. If you wanted to thicken the juice before you water bath or pressure can the fruit, then when you open it, it's good to go. You can just empty it out and use it for crumbles or pies or flans or whatever you want to use it for. So that's the product to look for if you want to thicken things before they're pressure canned, and it's just called Clear Gel. No nasties, nothing about it that is it's made from maize, so it's very, very popular. I don't personally use it that much because I just use corn flour when I open it, but I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people who bake open tarts and things like that, those little like deep strawberry tarts or things like that, they want to be able to put a thicker gel into the tart without cooking it or cooking the strawberries or whatever. We used to have what was that called? Quick gel, I think. It was in little sachets and you could mix it up, but it had a terrible flavour, very artificial flavour. I know when I was a lot younger, you used to get that, and you could pour it over open tarts in the summer if you kind of made a flan case and put raspberries in or something, but it didn't taste brilliant. That doesn't taste of anything actually. So you could mix fruit juice into it or anything like that. With those kind of open tarts, I tend to use melted red currant jelly or something like that, or melted raspberry jelly, and just pour it over. I make raspberry mint jelly in the summer, and that's kind of raspberry jelly with attitude, you know, and it's just sort of nice on a sweet dish like that to have that edge. But well, this sounds as though it's all slowed down. I don't know why. It's been bubbling away, and now it's no. I think we've tripped the power. So I need somebody tall to have a look at it for me. Huh? I thought that was the other one. I traced it all through. Okay. Okay, all back on. It's always something.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
I've eventually closed my lid.
Good, good.
I just did two, was it 2 or 3 500 ml jars with 2 with chickpeas. I think it was about 120 grams of chickpeas.
Yeah.
With the rest of that stock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just done one plain with 100. It was chickpeas and a bit of black turtle, I think. Beans and another half. So, all right. So I've got to wait for it to come up to oh yeah, when it starts doing the steam train,
Yeah,
steam,
yeah,
let it steam for 10 minutes,
yeah,
and then put my jiggler on,
yeah, that's right.
and then I time it from there, and it's because it's the quarts, the large ones. Is it 90 minutes, 1 hour 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I thought I'd never get there.
No, well, this is not a race. Nobody's.
Well, I try and listen as well.
Yeah.
I find it a bit difficult. I had prepared quite a bit, but
Yeah. Well, you can listen back to that bit
yeah,
later. I just needed to
that's
say
not
about the
fine.
thickening, you know, because we haven't really covered making things thicker, and as we go on, I'm just going to add in more and more things that we need to know.
I've put the extractor fan on because sometimes I can't hear you properly as well. I've just popped it on now.
Okay.
Letting the dog in.
90 minutes from 4 o'clock. It's going to be in 5:30. 5:30.
Your preserved lemons
Ah, well
without
done.
bay leaves.
Yeah.
I didn't have any fresh bay leaves, so I thought it was for decoration. So I've done it anyhow.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
I've got another jar as well, but it's with a screw lid.
Yeah. Well, my pressure's starting to go up. When we come back, which will be about 25 to, it's going to be just past 5:30. If you can have a pen and a piece of paper, you might find it useful.
Right.
I'm not going to be cooking anything. I'm going to give you lots of information. So you might want to jot things down while we're waiting for things to calm down and depressurize.
Okay then. So it's be back at 5:30.
Well, 5:20 to 6, something like that, because it's a bit longer because we've got bigger jars.
Right.
You're a little bit behind me. That isn't a criticism. It's just
Yeah.
it's just numbers.
I'm sorry, Tricia.
Sorry.
I'm saying sorry to Tricia.
Oh right, no, she's all right. So I'm up to 5 so far. So mine will soon be up to pressure, and I'll start timing. So I'll see you back then. And
Right. Okay then. Thank
Yep.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, back again. I'll just turn my timer off. I'm just about to switch off my camera. All done. So while that's depressurizing, I've got some homework for you. You thought this was going to be all fun, didn't you? Oh dear, oh dear. So, you may remember back in the very first workshop we did, which was begin at the beginning, and I went through kind of everything in an overview sort of way. And I'm going to go back now to something that I think seems like a huge drag, but actually I've learned the hard way is good advice. So I've got my pantry notebook, and that's what I use to sort of keep recipes in, keep notes in, because, you know, I have a very busy sort of daytime work life with the jar business that we run, and then I'm the workshops and all the teaching is sort of around that, and then there's sort of home, and keeping on top of it all is quite a job. So I do use this. You don't have to use this. You can use any notebook you've got, any folder you've got, whatever works for you. But I'll just show you what's in here that I'm going to be specifically talking about. There's a section on the store cupboard. Now, I appreciate not everyone has a walk-in pantry or, you know, somewhere they can dedicate to storing everything. And that, in a way, is the point, because actually it's quite hard sometimes if you buy things in bulk, remembering where you've put them. You know, when you want to go and fill something up. I'm often hunting upstairs in a spare bedroom, you know, in a cupboard or under a bed or something, looking for whatever it is I need to fill up my jars that I use all the time. And the store cupboard gives advice on building a store cupboard, an efficient store cupboard. And then there are sections on the different sorts of things you would find in a store cupboard that you need. So the first one here is dried fruit. They're not in any particular order. And of course, in this book, you can reorder anything however you want it to be. And I've just written down there all the dried fruits that I use. I couldn't believe how many there were, actually. And sometimes if they're unusual, I'll put where I buy them. Because of my life circumstances, I tend to send for everything online, and because we live quite remotely, I mean, we're near the town, but it doesn't have, it's sort of like being in a Miss Marple town, you know, it doesn't have stores and big Sainsbury's and all that kind of thing. So I tend to buy online from quite specific people, and I will often put the URL of the company in there, because then I think, oh, who did I get that from, you know, and it just saves time. So it covers everything. Milk, you know, if you have dried milk, milk powder, evaporated coconut milk, all the kinds of things that you use, not that I use, but that you use, you would put in there. And there's pages of fresh things. There's cheese there, cheese products, oils, yeasts, medical things, cleaning things, and miscellaneous things, all kinds of things. And I remember compiling this, and I don't know whether it was one of our Wednesday workshops or somebody I was talking to, and they said, you haven't got pet food in there. No, I haven't. And that's exactly my point, you know, that this is my life, not your life. And I hadn't thought about pet food. I'd forgotten about my poor old chickens outside, you know, they have to fend for themselves. But anyway, that I find very useful. And occasionally you can go through, if you want to, like when I'm doing take the dried fruit, for instance, if I'm doing an order for that company, I will go through all the other things I get from them, because they are a whole food site, so it does cover several categories, and I'll just check what other things I need, or if I know that I'm going to need to buy something, I'll write a note beside it. I know you could do all these things on spreadsheets and all the rest of it, or, you know, on an iPad or something, but I just find it easier to write it down. So one of the other sections is what I'm going to be specifically talking about, which is meal planning and that an inventory for your pressure can things and shopping lists. What I want to be focusing on throughout all this, and I've tried to do it in a quite a round on the fringe of it so far, is saving money, taking out cost out of things, and economizing through just planning, really. And I did talk about this in the first workshop. It is key, and I think you're probably finding by now you're getting a store of pressure canned goods together. There's getting, you know, more variety being made, and that will go on as we go through the various food groups and seasons and so on. And sometimes even I stand in the kitchen, I thought, what can we have for dinner? You know, I'm surrounded by preserved foods and things to choose from, but sometimes I just can't think straight, you know. And it's great. This focuses your mind. I used to do this religiously when my children were young. I planned the meals for a whole month, and then I shopped for them, and then I cooked what I'd bought. And that in those days I only had a freezer. I say only, but I mean I was lucky to have that. But you know, you weren't pressure canning things, is what I'm saying. So when I start all this, all the things that I put to you are not for me, really. I mean, I do use them, but when I'm devising them, I've got you in mind, not me. But I have to start somewhere, and you have to start with a kind of an imaginary people. You have to put yourself in their place when you're planning the workshops and the program and everything else. And that, again, is all done on paper. It's all kind of under different titles and so on. And this was the planning here for the chili class I did for Father's Day. That's just one class, one day. And it's who are you kind of doing it for? What is their life likely to be, roughly speaking? I can't possibly know what everybody's lives are like, but what would they need from it? How would I feel if this is what I was being told, and all that kind of thing. And you have to work all the way through it and then create what you think will solve their, not exactly problems, but give them the answers they're looking for in their life. So that was the chili one. But so I've done that for what I'm going to show you, and I've thought up an imaginary family. I haven't put this isn't as detailed as that is, and we've enlarged these pages out of the planner so that you can perhaps see more easily. I would say I do all of this in pencil. I always work in pencil because I'm always rubbing things out and moving them around and that kind of thing. Again, you can do this on a spreadsheet. These sheets are available as a download on the website in the download library, which is lovejars.co.uk/downloads. And you can download as many as you want, print them off, use them. I don't know if we'll put that, we'll probably, Trevor, put it in the comments on the side. So where do we start? First of all, I start with an inventory of my pressure can foods. I don't do this religiously. Every time I make something, I should do. It would be an easier job if I did. but you know, that's my life. I just think, right, what's next? Done that, on to the next thing. I've just done the inventory of this building here in the break, because now I've got a lot of food stored here, and invariably what I think we're going to have for dinner is here when I'm stood in my kitchen across the road, and somebody has to be sent off to go and find it. So I've done an inventory very quickly, very roughly on this sheet, and it's literally, what have I got? What size is it? When did I make it? And how many do I have? Now, given that I don't do this every time, if I take something out of the store, then I should reduce the inventory. And similarly, if I make something, I should put it back in. But as I said, I don't. So I go through periodically. And if I was going back to doing all of this religiously every month, that's what I would start with. A quick check, see what I had, what can I use, what needs using up, because it's not old, but it's older than what I've just made. What can I use? What would suit the season? You're going to need your diary or your phone. If you keep it all on your phone, you're going to need to know what you're doing, when you're likely to need backup, that kind of thing. So once I've done the inventory, I would go to, that's the big version of the inventory, if you can see. No, it's the trouble with doing everything in pencil, you can't see it. So it's all just on there. I just started it, I haven't put everything on there yet, and these are on our big expanded pages. Then, you know, the ones you print off would just be A4. So I've invented my family. We've got a couple, Sue and John, and we've got 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and they're all school age. Both parents work. Again, I don't know how you, I'll point out things. This is the weekly meal planner. So on here, you would start with who's doing what when. So we've got here Monday, nobody's doing anything apart from going to school and to work. Dinner, up at the top, I've put after school club, the 2 boys, but not the girl who's Molly. That's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Sue, the mother, goes to a book club. So she's got to come in from work, collect the kids probably from school, get the tea and get out again. So she hasn't got time to fuss about, you know, with all different things and for everybody and you know, complicated things. Thursday, Molly from 5 till 8 has gymnastics club. So she's going to have to be dropped off. Whoever dropped her off is going to come home. They're probably going to prep the dinner, get it in the oven. Somebody will go and pick her up, or she'll be dropped off, and they'll all eat when she gets back. And on Friday, John, the husband, has rugby training, and he doesn't have dinner because he has a meal at the rugby club. And Saturday, they've got swimming. Everybody's got swimming lessons 10 till 12. And then not much else. I have to turn it around the other way. I can't read it upside down. Sunday, oh, in the evening, John's mum and dad are coming for supper and a film, and they're all going to have a meal together. Sunday, the 2 boys, Charlie and Oscar, have football from 9 till 1, and then lunch and then dinner before getting everything ready for school. Now, I've just put in meals for dinner. I haven't done lunches because it very much depends on whether the children have school meals or take a packed lunch, whether who eats out and all that kind of thing. But what I wanted to show was just doing, you've got that scenario, and all of these are covered pretty much by what you've already made. So if you project that forward to what we're going to learn, you're going to have a massive range of things to choose from, should your life be anything like this couple and their kids. It won't be, but you get my meaning, and you see why I do it like that, to sort of illustrate what's possible. So on the Monday, when everybody's just back at school and work and they come in, you've got vegetable curry. Actually, you haven't made this, but we talked about it, the ratatouille, which is just a vegetable in passata mix. And that's, so that is pressure canned. So you have a chopped onion, garlic and spices base, add in the ratatouille, vegetable curry, cook some rice, and you could make some of the yogurt flatbreads if you want to. It very much depends how hungry the children are and what you need, who you need to fill up. On the Tuesday, when they've got after school club, Charlie and Oscar, but not Molly, we've got the basic mince mix, which we made, the beans, which we made, mixed together, topped with mashed potato and some fresh veg. On Wednesday, when Sue's got to come in, get dinner, or maybe whoever gets dinner, it doesn't have to be her. Throw back to my early life with children. She's going off to book club, so it needs to be home from work, in, out, done. So that is the beef with vegetables that we made, topped with the flour and yogurt scones, served with frozen peas and jacket potatoes. What I find works well is to microwave the potatoes for a few minutes and then put them in the oven with the casserole, and then the skins crisp up and they cook nicely. And you could, I haven't necessarily put puddings in, because again, that depends on how people eat, really, whether they just have yogurts or fruit or something like that, or nothing. Thursday, Molly's got gymnastics, so it's in at 8 o'clock. So the sausage meatballs we made in passata over pasta, topped with grated cheese and crusty bread. Again, quick to do because they're all in and out and all in different places. On Friday, when John's at rugby, doesn't need any dinner, they're going to have jacket potatoes with the chicken mixed with the coronation sauce we made, mix half and half coronation sauce and mayonnaise on top of the jacket potatoes with some salad. Saturday, they've got swimming 10 till 12. So brunch is the sausage patties that we made in the jar, some baked beans. Now, at the moment, they can be tin beans, but we're going to go on and make baked beans. So we'll go on to those another time. Fresh bacon, and then make a batch of pancakes. And then you can have those as a savoury addition, or you can have them as sweet, or you can have both, you know, if you make enough pancakes. But they're reasonably priced, quick to make, and a crowd pleaser. You know, most kids love pancake. Well, just about everybody loves a pancake, don't they? So going on Saturday evening, Grandma, Granny and Grandad are coming around for supper and a film, and they're going to have bolognese, which we made the basic mince mix, pasta, garlic bread, made with the garlic butter, the wild garlic butter I told you about. We haven't made it, but I told you about making it and pressure canning it, but you can make garlic butter anyway. And then you could have a crumble and ice cream or something like that. We're going to go on and make fruit fillings and things. Sunday, which is Charlie and Oscar are playing football, come in the chicken soup with noodles, and then bread with that, crusty bread or something, and then some cake like brownies or you know, something like that you know that they like. And then dinner, the sausage and bean soup made into a cassoulet with the chicken we made, the plain chicken, some fresh garlic sausage, and again you can have crusty bread with that, And then at the same time that's cooking in, heating up in the oven, you could put a rice pudding in the oven as well, which is cheap and easy to make from scratch. I mean, it is just every week we have one crumble and one rice pudding, and we kind of alternate it, and we never get tired of it, and it's so easy to do. And of course, being only two of us, I make a big one, and then we just sort of eat through it, and then we add the other one. So that is the list for the week, and you would fill in lunches as needed. I mean, you could take jars of food as we've discussed, and if it was convenient and that kind of thing. From that, you go, that's just a week. I used to do a whole month, but I suggest you start with a week and build up. And of course, once you've done 4 weeks, you can then start again, and nobody gets fed up, because you can kind of, you're leapfrogging forward and you don't have to keep doing all the filling out. So on the shopping list, as you're doing this, you know what pressure canned food you've got from your inventory. You can put down what fresh vegetables you need. I've got on here potatoes, carrots, broccoli, and salad. And I've also put frozen peas as well. Meat is garlic, sausage, and bacon. And that, from where we are now, that's the only fresh meat you would need in that whole week. If you know, if you're eating meat, I appreciate, Trish, you're not, but I have to sort of cover the ground. Bread and baked goods, crusty bread, French stick for the garlic bread, and then if you're buying cake, well, whatever that is, or making cake is you wouldn't have to put on there. Then fruit, I've just added in bananas, satsumas, and apples. We're not actually adding fresh fruit into the meal planner as such, but lunch boxes, puddings, that kind of thing. Dairy, I've got plain yogurt, cheese, ice cream, and milk. And dry goods, pasta, rice, and pudding rice. So you continue doing that until you've got your shopping list. Then you can buy once in the various categories. If you've got something where you can buy locally, you can go and do most of it in one go. I mean, not salad perhaps, but taking it forward into the future, you can start having things like salad just in a big flower pot outside, and you just pick one at the cut and come again, the leaves, you can just pick a few leaves and wash them, and you don't have to buy a whole lettuce or a whole big bag, the big bags that are done in bleach and everything. You can just pick them and they keep on growing, and so you can sort of think ahead and plan those kinds of things in. But overall, it will save you time, it will save you money, and once you are into the inventory, you can see what you're using up, and when you then need to into your shopping list, you need to put, oh well, I need to top up my basic mince mix or my whatever it is. I've run out of cannellini beans, so you start to add in a pressure canning session to top up your stores, instead of randomly thinking, oh, what should I be doing? And it is very personal. I mean, this doesn't sort of cover everything you might be doing, but this is my fictional family, shall we say, and then you can sort of work it all out. Over time, what I would like you to sort of get into the habit of doing is, when we do these sessions, is to keep track of what you're spending on the food for that session. It's all very well me doing it, but I don't buy from the places you buy from and that kind of thing. And then when you've made, like today, we've made the white chicken chili. I've got 5 big jars in there. From that shopping list and those prices, I would then be able to work out how much each jar was. And you could write that on your label. So when you label it up, just put on there that it costs £3 or whatever it was. And then as you go forward, you'll be able to see where you're saving money, because in the future, inevitably, things are going to cost more. But we've locked that price in what we've made today. And 5 of those, you aren't going to eat that every week, I would guess. You're going to eat it occasionally. And you won't need to replace it, well, probably till the autumn. Or you could think, well, that's good value, I'll make it again, I'll do it now, but I might make double or something like that. And if you start looking at the prices and where you can economize, in a way it's quite frightening, because you realize how much you've been spending up to now. But it is possible to economize by being organized and planning. And then if you've got this plan, you don't have to think about it again. You know what you're going to eat when you come in, or even before you go out. You haven't got to think all day, oh, we haven't got anything for dinner, what should I get, or should I stop off? Because as I've told you before, you know, the soon as you set foot in that supermarket, you're going to spend at least £30 that you haven't planned on spending. And if you know before you go out what you're going to come home to, all that stress of it goes out of your life, for the sake of perhaps it'll probably take you a couple of hours to plan a whole month, and then the shopping and so on. But you aren't worrying about it every day then, and you're not sitting, oh, we'll just get a pizza, or we'll just get this, or just get that, because it never stops at just, because you end up, you know, bottles of pop and other things that you get and all the rest of it. So and you don't have to stick to it exactly. If things change and something else happens, then you can swap it around. Or sometimes I think, oh, I don't feel like that today, I'll have that tomorrow, and I'll move Wednesday and Thursday around, or something like that. So but I do find that it works, and it's kind of, I don't know, you just feel good that you're organized and you've got it all sorted. And as we go forward, there'll be a lot more variety to choose from as well, that we're going to be doing, that you can bring in. So I hope that helps for Sue and John and Oscar and Charlie and Molly. But it's quite fun for me doing all that. But it gets it clearer in my head as well, what I'm trying to get over to you all as well. But now I've got to get all that inventory into my book when I go home, so I know what I'm doing. But I'm going to move it out of the way now. And of course, if you sort of see bargains and so on, you can buy them sort of not on an impulse, but you can get them and process them, and then you've got more to work with. I don't know how this is getting on. Oh, we're down to pressure, that's good. I read the other day, somebody, when the needle is down on the gauge, they just take the jiggler weight off, so that it then depressurizes quite quicker. And I've never done that, and I'm quite nervous of doing it. But I don't mind tipping it a bit to one side. So so you're turned off now, Rosalind? Yeah, I'm just waiting. Yeah. we're actually putting the finishing touches. Well, I say finishing touches, it's perhaps a bit more to do than that, but the book that I've written, which is very much based on what I'm making, you know, the basic mixes and the pressure can foods, and then showing you how you can adapt them into all different dishes from the same food, so that I'm not making sort of every meal in a jar all the way through, but just saying if you add this or toppings and different things, so that, you know, you can make a lot of different, what seem like different dishes to the people eating them, but you know have come from the same jar. I mean, I think I could probably feed people for a week on the basic mince mix or the basic chicken, and you wouldn't eat the same thing twice, and you wouldn't necessarily know you've eaten the same thing every day. But I don't do that, but I mean, it's perfectly possible. Right, take off my panels unlocked. I'll just leave it for a couple of minutes to calm down, and I can take the lid off. I wish you could actually pressure can rice pudding, to be honest, but it's not great pressure canning dairy at all. And but it'd be great if I had it like homemade ambrosia rice in a jar, you know? But it's I haven't yet discovered any way of doing that, unfortunately. All right, open this, let the steam out. Oh, here's my cloth. That's it. Let's see what we've got. Looks okay. Don't think I've siphoned at all. One of these days. Actually, I'm going to put this mat down as well because they are boiling. Only got 5 jars, so they'll fit on there. It's literally boiling. Right. Those lids are on their last legs as well. They've gone very black in there for some reason. I dare say it's the vinegar, actually. Putting the vinegar in. That's all okay. Good. 5 more meals on the table. That's what I like. And we've got the link up there for the downloads. And as I say, if you prefer to do it on your own spreadsheets and things, then that's great. You know, you can keep an eye on the prices and change them as necessary. Okay, I can't even remember what we're doing next time. Can you have a look before we go? I think it might be vegetables.
Vegetables.
Yes, vegetables next time. So they won't take so long to actually pressure can, so that's a good thing. Okay, I'll see you next time, hopefully, and enjoy what you've made.